Welcome to the first episode of the Annovation podcast. Annovation is all about understanding technology today to help you achieve a better future tomorrow. This podcast is going to be here to help you do that. And as our first episode, we're rolling out the future of marketing, which is an event we do monthly with my co host Ian, and hope you enjoy. I had some fun with some graphics. But anyways, welcome to the future of marketing, where we dive into the future of a topic and help you understand all the tech around that subject so that you can make good decisions about it. I am Alec Kauffman. I'm the founder of Annovation. I do tech and strategy for small businesses. So if you know a business that is struggling with tech or strategy or both, send them my way. I'm going to hand it over to Ian.
Hey, I'm Ian. I do all types of marketing and I have an interest in a few different businesses. And I'm trying to figure out the best way to bring my marketing efforts into the future.
So last month we covered AI SEO, so that's ranking an AI search, live selling, what that is and when to use it, content machines, that's kind of the rise of AI influencers and AI content. And we have a list of topics and then we'll pick 3 topics to go over each month. So send us your topic suggestions and we'll go over more topics. So today we've got new tools. So this is improving your content creation process. Going live, that's the power of going live and automated direct messaging. And CRM basics. So what is a CRM and how to use it? First thing first, April Fools. I think April Fools is kind of an underappreciated marketing day. You'll see a lot of the big brands do this, but I want to see more small brands do this. It's your best bad idea. So you can kind of test out any random new product, any random new iteration that you want with your product, and it can be the bad idea. And people are just fine with it because it's April Fool's Day. I think there's a really interesting testing ground that you can do if you're thinking about new offerings, if you're thinking about new products, where you can release it on your social media as an April Fool's Day joke and just see how people react, see how people respond. I've seen a lot of good traction there of like testing new ideas. And so I think it's a good testing ground. And maybe your bad idea isn't as bad as you thought. Maybe people are like, oh, this is awesome. I wish this was a thing. Maybe it sparks a great idea. So maybe it's not the perfect idea, but people tell you, man, I don't want that. But if you did this, it would be perfect. Or maybe we all just laugh at it and it's a good thing that you didn't build it. So what I did for this April Fool's Day, Annovation's a service business, so I don't really have a product that I wanted to put out there. But if you're a service business, you could probably get creative with it and figure something out. I posted one of my best bad ideas from college, which is business togas. We're going to call them bogas. And they're formal and fun men's warm weather attire. And the problem is that suits are terrible for warm weather. It's just like a lot of layers. It's really warm. And so I wanted to change that and wear business togas. And I actually generated that image with AI. So it's super easy to just get a concept out there that you can share with the world and get it across to people. Ian, what do you think about that?
Sign me up. I'll take a business toga. I'm all about it. April Fools is a great opportunity also just to let your brand have a little bit of personality and be playful. So like Olipop did a Hidden Valley Ranch collaboration. It's just a good time to have fun, show a little personality.
Yeah, I think so. And also like Duolingo did like a cruise ship one where you go on a cruise and you learn a language. I think that's another perfect example of a way that you could possibly do something like that.
Most large brands do this, but it's a little less common to see smaller businesses take advantage. I think smaller businesses tend to be less willing to take a risk in their marketing efforts. So that's what we're interested in here. But yeah, everything from Nutella, I think Tiffany's did one last year, all types of brands engage on April Fools. It's a really good way to get engagement up.
Mhm. It's like it's kind of like Halloween for business. So next one is new tools. This is kind of improving your content creation process. The reason this one's the topic for today is some of you will notice, well, all of you will notice, unless you're on another platform seeing this later. We're using Riverside right now. That's different from what we were using before. And the reason we're on Riverside is because it improves the recording quality. We're not going to have issues with lag so much. If someone's internet goes out, that doesn't just take out the upload. So we're using this process to improve our content creation process. And so when you're recording and when you're creating new content, think about what is your content creation process? Are there new tools that can actually help you along that way so that you're creating content that you can get more reach on and maybe less effort for? So it's basically creating your market for or creating your marketing material for less cost. Because if I created this and I wanted to make like a podcast, that would that would take way too much effort for me to do out of Google Meets. Like I was editing in iMovie, I could have edited in Final Cut, but that doesn't make it things too much faster for me. With Riverside, what I'm doing is I can do things like transcript editing. It can make magic clips, pause removal, this thing called Magic Audio, where it does some audio balancing, show notes, captioning, all of that stuff can be done. So think about the tools you're using and how those tools support the content that you're making.
That has been challenging me recently is repurposing content for different platforms. One thing I like about Riverside from what you were showing me is that it makes that super easy.
Yeah, like trying to make a short with Riverside, I could say, "Oh, I want it in the portrait aspect ratio," and it'll change the video over to that, which is not the case for, if I recorded this in Google Meets or something else, I would not be able to content repurpose as well.
That's huge.
One of the big ones that I've noticed is actually coming about is transcript editing. I don't know if you've got a chance to use this yet, Ian, but basically when you're editing with a transcript, you get the dialogue of people. So you get every word that I'm saying is going to pop out into a transcript. I can edit the transcript. So if I delete a word, it just crops the video and the audio and just basically crops that out of the video. So I
I
can
gotta
very
tell you,
easily go back. Yeah.
this is a major time saver. A while ago, when I was working on documentary film projects, it transcript editing was something we'd have to do by hand and then kick to our editor to do the clips. And being able to do it this quickly in one location is just hugely powerful for any number of things, but major time and money saver.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, that's basically one of the things that I realized. I was like, oh, well, if I use this, I'm going to save myself a ton of time. And it actually makes more marketing uh, avenues possible because I'm saving more time. So, like, I might be able to release more shorts and more things about this content because I actually have a little bit more time to make it, and I can make it even higher quality too. Because I can take a little extra time and spend that on captioning, spend that on other pieces. But, the nice thing about this too is because it has a transcript, it actually pops up the captions anyways. So captioning is actually really easy because it just takes the transcript and it puts it on the video.
Helpful for doing interviews and editing them down. Um, really, really good time saver. Or even, I'd imagine you could record yourself doing a presentation and then edit it through Riverside, which would also be an interesting application.
And if different people are talking, I get Ian's transcript and my transcript, and I can compare those and I can edit those individually.
That's awesome. I would love to see. I mean, would it work for somebody like, for example, teaching a class? Could they record that class on Riverside and then go back in and just kind of clip the highlights in Riverside?
Yeah, so you could basically take the so one of the things with Magic Clips is it actually grabs the highlights that it thinks are the highlights. But another thing that I haven't tried this out yet, but there is, I think if you hit M, it's supposed to capture a moment. And so if there's like a highlighted moment, you hit M when you're recording, and then that marks that in your recording. I'll try it right now. Just see if that works. So that's an interesting way that you could, as a teacher, you could record and basically go through your entire thing. And then at the end of that, you could go through, look at your recording, Take out the pauses, take out any ums, take out any specific points that you don't want in there. And then you could, I guess, basically just upload the video that's cleaned at that point. Also, one of the things is it's cloud-based, so I'm not downloading all of these to my computer. They're all sitting on Riverside. I'm making clips out of Riverside and then editing in Riverside and exporting there. So all of the editing takes place there.
If I could just comment just by listening to you two, and I look at all the feature functions that this platform has, and you look at the efficiencies, the professionalisms, the comment about I can get rid of the ahs, and that in itself can clean up your presentation or something that, like I said, I like the idea of, in a sense, recording yourself and make a short out of it, crisp, clean, to the point, where you can attach it to, even you can attach it to an email or as a communication tool. I like the idea of using a variety of communication elements from visual, then all of a sudden I've got the verbal, but I didn't historically you could clean both of them up the same way. And now we have consistency and crispness in the message, if I'm not mistaken.
Mhm. Yeah. You can clean up the audio to make sure that it sounds the way that you want it to sound. So if you got a like and an and a something else in there, you can go take some of those out to clearly make your point.
Thank you.
Captioning also helps too, especially if someone's doing something that's short form content. If someone's viewing short form, you'll see this everywhere now when you're consuming short form content, is short form like the 60 seconds, the TikToks, the Instagram reels, things like that. If you see those clips, those will often be faster and they'll have captions on them. So the captions, because people might not be watching with audio,
Right.
the captions are basically there to help them read it. But also, if they're listening to it quickly, the captions help them read it faster.
Not only that, I think it also, since you're hitting them double, it helps them remember it.
Mhm. Yeah, you're getting it visually and audibly.
That's nice for the hearing impaired.
Yes, that too.
Added bonus.
Makes it more accessible. Anyone having questions on recording process, how this might change your content? And the other thing I want to point out here is that this is in Riverside today, but these are tools that probably will make their way around to other tools. So just watch for things like this or other comparable tools that you can use in your content creation process, even if Riverside isn't the one that's perfect for you. Just figure out what things in your content creation process can you use that are similar to these tools.
I mean, I can see this getting integrated into like meeting recordings. If there's an hour-long meeting and it could legitimately pull highlights of that to share with other team members, that could be really kind of making internal content.
Yeah. I'm curious what something like Loom might do with this type of tool. Like, will Loom have that similar thing? Maybe it already does. I don't know. Um, but there are a lot of tools out there and a lot of AI tools specifically that help do things. Any questions on that before we move on? Content creation process?
I guess my only question is, what do you think would be the next round of features for something like this to offer? Like, this to me is sort of like game changing. Wow, I can't believe we can do this now. But what's the next level? Like, what are the features they're working on now, potentially?
The feature that I noticed does exist and it's not perfect. Um, so when I delete a section, if I delete a grouping of words, the video still clips a little bit because I move around a little bit. And then when I'm in that motion, it, if I delete a word and it trims the video, it still has to jump from one section to the other section, especially if I'm using my hands a lot, moving my head, things like that. I think there's going to be a lot more AI stitching and maybe even AI video stitching. So to make
Mm.
those fit a little bit better when you do that trim, moving those two clips together with some AI stitching.
I'd love to see some, like, probably more enhanced motion graphics, and if there was an ability to do 2 cameras, that would be interesting as well. So you could get 2 angles, and for those switches, kinda switch between cameras, that would be interesting.
Oh, yeah. I think that's definitely possible. The other one is they actually already have this in some ways, I just haven't reused it much, is AI voice. So if I say something, I'm trying to stitch something in there between 2 words, maybe I missed a "the" or something like that, I could add the AI voice version of that. That allows me to then make that audio more seamless, fix it, I guess, in the post process rather than just in present. Then I guess the longer term future I think that we should all be thinking about is probably the AI avatar. These are actually already out there on, several different platforms. You'll notice actually if you're on YouTube and you play enough YouTube ads, you'll probably run across one that's an AI avatar that's telling you some stuff, and it's just like someone made that AI avatar. They might be using an AI generated voice, AI generated avatar. Right now, that's a big red flag because it probably means that they don't have something super legitimate to offer. But in the future, that probably isn't a big red flag. That's just a way to market faster. I mean, there are AI influencers on YouTube that are basically AI YouTubers. Not a lot of them, but I have seen channels that are popping up that are this is an AI avatar, and that's interesting.
Gonna be changing quick.
Mhm. So this dovetails nice with the AI avatars going live. The power of automated direct messaging. So going live, I think a lot of people don't like to go live for one, because you're live and anything can happen while it's live. A dog can bark, anything, a number of things can happen. So a lot of people are scared of going live, but I think it's an important content tool to use, especially for small businesses, because it has a level of authenticity. It's very real, it's unedited, and it has that authenticity that I think can really help a small business, especially. It can also help a large business too, because if you're perceived as kind of this business that, you heavily edit your content and things like that, seeing you do it live is more authentic to what you would be like in person. So I think that authenticity is important, especially in the age of AI, especially when you're thinking about AI influencers and things like that. How can you be more human so that you actually stand out as the person that people wanna interact with? People don't tend to like interacting with AI bots, I've noticed, unless it's more efficient than interacting with the human. And then on the flip side of that, there's kind of a merging thing that you can do here with going live and using something like automated direct messaging. So automated direct messaging is where you have direct messaging that is able to quickly notice. So it'll basically capture a specific trigger word, and then it'll send back a message. So you'll see other influencers do this, like, "Comment this for this discount code," or something like that. And when you're getting an automated direct message, there are a lot of things you can do, like having it wait a little bit and kind of ways that you can make that automated direct message seem very real without actually having to do it yourself. And that realness of the direct message, it there you get higher conversions because if someone sends you a link, if someone sends you something via message, it has more personal it has more of a personal touch to it, so people tend to convert better on that rather than just a link in bio or link somewhere else.
I'm really excited about ManyChat, and it's something that I'm gonna be trying to implement this month, hopefully with my wife's energy brand. It sounds like you can set up filters so it targets certain accounts, and you
Mm,
can send up to 50 DMs a day, like proactively from your brand saying, "Hey," you can filter for people who, in their bios have yoga, fitness instructor, and workout. or whatever it is, and it'll send up to 50 messages a day, trying to engage with those people. And then you can set it up to continue being that AI chatbot. So if they respond, that can keep going, or if it's a smaller business, you can pick up the conversation from there directly. But I think that's hugely powerful as far as being able to reach, you know, thousands of people a month.
Mhm. Makes sense. And I think is it a mix of both where it's both able to catch a word, like it's able to take a message and then catch a specific word, or is it doing AI, like a large language model, to send back the information and generate the reply?
It can do both, I believe.
Okay,
So
cool.
it can do comment this word, and then when the word comes in, it spits something back, or it can proactively go out, and then you can program, multiple replies or enter in chatbot information, to say whatever you want, and it'll pick it up from there. I think I'm going to try to use it just on the initial outreach phase because I also don't fully trust chatbots to do a good job of representing what we're doing, and we don't have that big of a following. I don't think we're going to get 9,000 responses immediately. So if we send out 50 a day and we get one reply back, that's great. That's one potential customer we didn't have.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, and it's interesting. I was trying to build a similar bot in 2022, or I guess 2023, um, where we were trying to it was with Power Virtual Agents, which is a Microsoft bot builder platform, and this was early on. ChatGPT comes out in November 2022. We're in 2023 trying to build this, bot that basically is able to handle these questions. But with Power Virtual Agents, you can either pre-program the questions, so it's basically trying to catch a word and then spit back a response, like a preset response. And there was a way that you could start to integrate it with Copilot, but when you're starting to integrate with Copilot, the large language model, it would always just get lost because those just weren't at that point yet where they were super useful. But now I think we're getting to that point where you can actually have a more hybrid version where it has pre-programmed responses and it has the large language model responses, and it can blend them together a little bit better.
It's incredible. I mean, for someone like Scott who has different kind of business verticals, he could implement multiple campaigns. So the same, it's like $15 a month for the pro version, I think. So he could do one reaching out to, the career counseling people, one reaching out to small business owners for strategy help. Like it just is really, I mean, again, if $15 a month, if it gets you one customer a month, it's not bad.
Mhm. Yeah, and I mean, like, Riverside, I think is 24 for the pro thing, and it's saving me hours. So, I mean, that these tools can really, like, change the game in terms of what you can get done for the time that you put in.
And compared to what it used to be, I mean, again, when I was doing um, video editing work, we'd be paying an editor, a few $100 a day to do that.
Mhm.
Same thing with this automated DM stuff, like paying somebody to really manage that social media piece and go out and start interacting with other accounts. Like that's something I paid a lot of money for in the past. Have somebody just sitting there, or for event promotion, like for this event, we could have reaching out to 50 people a day, targeted, saying, "Hey, join our monthly session." And that's more promotion than we're doing currently.
Mhm.
15 bucks, not bad.
Yeah, I mean, I think that maybe we try that next time because it's just like these tools. I think a lot of small businesses get stuck here thinking, man, all these tools that all these big businesses jump on and they're using all these tools. But the thing is, this makes so many of these things available to you, available for your team to be able to do because you have so much more, you can get so much more output for the time that you put in. So you can multiply the output of one person, two person, three-person businesses and get a lot out and get a lot of traction going using these tools. That's one of the big messages that I want to share with people is look at the technology that you can use, and being a smaller business, you can still leverage these technologies to give you a huge advantage.
I mean, that's why I love this conversation, and I love doing it monthly because I'm so in the weeds with the day-to-day work of running the businesses that I don't get a chance to step back and kind of see, like, I didn't know about ManyChat until this week when we started looking at it. And I probably wouldn't have known about it for another year if we didn't take this moment to kind of sit down and, okay, what's the new things coming up? And it's something that I'll immediately implement.
Exactly. Well, and I think it'll be really interesting to look at live selling too, which we covered last month.
Hmm.
Live selling has some interesting things with ManyChat because you can actually be talking live and they're getting messages back live. So it's kind of like
Mm,
it seems like your producer is messaging them or something like that because you're live. You say, "Hey, send me a message saying this to get this."
mhm,
And you can give away a lead magnet that way. There's a lot of things that you could do to basically get people into your business. That increases the range of your digital storefront, which is kind of the concept that I want people to think about when they're thinking about their social media presence. Before we had brick and mortar businesses, and anyone who wanted to interact with your business would call you on the phone or they would walk into your business. Maybe they'd send you a fax. But that was pretty much the ways to do it. But now with you've got social media, you've got all the different platforms that you can go on. Your business has a digital storefront. So it has its own storefront, but it's digital. So when you're thinking about the way that you're going to set yourself up online, the way that you're going to present yourself online, how are you going to create that digital storefront that helps people engage with your brand, helps people engage with your business without leaving their town? And what I mean by that is if their town is Instagram, you want a digital storefront on Instagram. If their town is Facebook, you want a digital storefront on Facebook. And you want ways that they can engage with your store without leaving their town that they're in.
that's great. That's great.
All right. So I guess before we jump to the next topic, has anyone tried live selling or does anyone go live to meet with people, to talk with customers at all with their business?
I've been working on implementing my Instagram store for the last month. My guy who runs it was out of the country for a little bit, but he's back now. So once I get that hooked up, I will be doing more experimentation. And then I also started a conversation about TikTok and how much effort do we want to put behind that, um, in the hopes of getting that TikTok shop up and running. But it hasn't been implemented yet.
Maybe wait till after Saturday.
Yeah. Probably a good idea. Yeah, I mean,
But I
it's
think,
really tricky. Things moving so fast.
yeah, well, that's one of the reasons I'm not up on TikTok right now because I'm at this point in the game, maybe not jumping in on TikTok till it's got a little clarity. But then once it
Mhm.
has clarity, if it's good to go, then just go for it. I mean, like once you have the security that that platform's going to be around, it's another town that you can put your digital storefront in.
We've been reluctant to go down too many paths because we have the newsletter, we have the Instagram, and again, repurposing content for all these different platforms has been challenging. But with some of these tools, it might make it a lot easier and more practical.
Well, I think that's one of the things that is important to think about with AI is once you have the content recorded, how much easier does AI make it to repurpose the content over all in all different ways? So think of let's go back to the professor example. You teach a lecture, right? And you record that lecture. After you've recorded that lecture, you could potentially make a report out of that lecture. So it's basically that lecture in uh, readable form. You could make you could make that lecture into you could probably tell AI to make a movie out of it, and then it would put some type of movie behind it. Um, you could probably ask AI to break that out into different lessons and exercises. There's a lot of different ways that you can use AI to then break apart the content once you have the original content. So think of the ways that you can get your ideas into the original content, and then I think AI is going to be able to do a lot more. The other example I like to use here is Dungeons and Dragons, D&D. If you make the story, right? So if you do the campaign, can you then make the movie version of it with using AI? You can make the images of your characters, you can make even 3D renderings of your characters. Maybe you could even eventually make a game out of it. So there's a lot of once you create the storyline, once you create the narrative, then I think there's a lot more that can be made with the content using AI.
It's really good. And from a brand perspective, I think you could teach the AI to represent the core tenets of your brand. And so as it puts those together, it would, be aware of your brand tone of voice and keep things sort of in that vein, which would be incredibly helpful.
Absolutely. Yeah, consistency right now is the hard part because it doesn't have character consistency in a lot of the large language model generation. That being said, ChatGPT did or OpenAI did just come out with some character consistency things. So it's a problem that's being worked on. It'll be interesting to see where that goes in the future. I mean, if we wanted, we could make ourselves look like Studio Ghibli.
That'd be fun.
All right, on to the next one. So the CRM, customer relationship management. So effectively with a CRM, kind of trying to you're trying to figure out who are all my customers? How have I engaged with them? You could also do this with leads. Um, and it's basically tracking that so that you are informed when you're talking to your customer. That's really one of the main goals here is build a better relationship with the customer because you're not forgetting all the details about them and you're not forgetting to follow up with them. You know the things that like interacted with them before with. So you know, oh yeah, this person already has like they already got the lead magnet, they already got all these other pieces. So I don't need to try and have them buy that thing again or get that thing again, or I don't need to offer that to them again. So knowing where someone's at, what they've got, maybe you even put some notes in there of like things that you guys have connected on that help you better connect with your customer. And there's a ton of different levels. And the 4 levels that I kind of have here are the spreadsheet level. This is where you're just using like a spreadsheet to keep track of it. You enter all the information yourself. You could go with the fancy spreadsheet. That's a spreadsheet plus some automations. Maybe you're using Zapier. You've got like something that brings in the data when someone books a appointment with you on Calendly, it automatically updates the spreadsheet. When someone does something else, it automatically updates the spreadsheet. So that's the fancy spreadsheet version. Then there's the CRM software, like Monday, HubSpot, Salesforce. There's a bunch of them, but probably HubSpot and Salesforce are the main two. So those are your CRM software tools. You could use those out of the box, or you could start using them in kind of what I call the fancy CRM software tools, where you start to use them with automations. You're using a little bit more of the integrations. You're using a lot more of the Zapier automations and things like that. So you're making sure to get that data to the CRM software tools, and you're not just manually copying a lot of the data over to those. You're effectively keeping track of the relations with your customers in a way that is not taking you more time than it's worth. What do you use mostly, or what have you found useful for your business?
I have I've used Monday, I've used Salesforce. Currently, I don't know if Mailchimp counts, but that's where I'm doing a lot of my customer management. Honestly, the stage I'm at with a lot of my businesses are not big enough to really require a robust platform.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, Mailchimp has been what I've been using mostly for the last year or so.
Yeah, any way that you can kind of hack it together, have a way that you're keeping track of stuff so that you're organized. I think that's the big part is having something that works for you. Sometimes, using a bigger tool isn't necessary early on, but I will point out that you can get started with HubSpot for free. So they offer their stuff for free for you to get started on. So if you're small, that's a good way to get something going early. I think does Monday offer anything like that, or are they paid? Or
Paid,
Salesforce?
also paid.
Okay. Yeah. So I think HubSpot's the only free one that I know of. You know, it's decent marketing tactic because I'm plugging HubSpot because it's free. So, free is also a strategy. But when you're building these out, I think especially in the early stages, find out what works, what provides that return value too that actually means, yeah, this is worth actually taking the time to do.
The chat will only show up for me in the browser and not the actual app, but it was me, and I was just saying that I'm in the process of moving us from Nutshell to HubSpot, and I've used HubSpot before, so I'm, like, really stoked about it because 'cause I'm a CRM nerd, and it makes me so happy, and I also just added a note that especially since you can get a free version of HubSpot, it's actually easier to implement it before you really need it and start capturing all the data so you don't wind up having to do some big data import when you're finally like, "Oh, I need to manage this in a better way," you know?
Right.
Yeah, I totally
What
agree with
are
that.
what are some of the best features in HubSpot?
So we have a we're not using the free version, but we're using the very lowest version, which is like a group of all of their tools. So their sales hub, their marketing hub, their operations hub. We really only use the sales and a little bit of the marketing. So we're integrated with MailChimp. So every MailChimp email that goes out shows up in a contact record in HubSpot. It shows the person got this email. It shows whether or not they opened the email. It also easily like linked with our website so I can go into a contact record and see what pages somebody has visited on our website, which is hugely helpful. And it's really easy to customize, which is nice. So we have a bunch of custom fields because we're professional organizers. We're not like your typical sales process. So we really have to tailor things to our own business. And it's very easy to do. And just, being able to just shoot emails directly out from a contact record with all of your templates in there. Like I know you can set up templates in Gmail, but if you have all of your contacts in your CRM, why leave there? You're going there to get the email address anyway. Why leave the software to go to Gmail to send an email when you could just do one click? And we're also going to roll out Ring Central soon, and it will integrate with Ring Central and automatically port all of our voicemails, all of our text messages into the contact records, which we now manually do in a project log in Google Drive, which makes me bananas.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, I have feelings about cigarettes.
Well, and I mean, like, one of the things that I used with HubSpot is, that when you look at the AI tools, it's really interesting. I don't know if you've seen these floating around in your HubSpot account, Jess, but it was interesting because it said, "Click this button to catch you up on the background
Yeah,
before your meeting."
yeah, so it's called Breeze, and you can go in and open a contact record, you hit the Breeze button, and it summarizes all of the activity in that contact record in a little box on the form, which is amazing, and also not on our level, but on the next level up, and by the way, our basic level, I wanna say is like $30 a month or something, which is
Mhm.
not bad for what we do, but if you go up to the next level, they take the AI to the next level, and when you enter a company or a contact, does a search, it adds their LinkedIn page, their social pages, their website, their company revenue, if it could be found on the internet, like, it populates everything, which is really awesome.
It's really interesting, and I mean, you think about what that could do later down the line in terms of outreach, you could have very tailored outreach to that client. And you could just say, "Hey, send this person an email saying this." And then it goes through and it looks at their record and it says, "Okay, these are all the ways that we've interacted with them before. What are the ways that we can kind of tailor this interaction to them today that sounds really good?" And so the AI goes through and it thinks through that, comes out with something. Maybe it puts it in your draft inbox, maybe it puts it in your maybe it actually just sends it out. But that's a level of, customer interaction that might make it even better than what you could get just with a human alone, because you can do so many more of these tailored interactions than you could before. So you're getting a more personalized experience from the business rather than what is limited by the amount of staff that they have.
What is the kind of the outreach what are the outreach functions of some of these platforms? So as far as, like, developing new contact.
It depends on how you integrate with them, but basically, if you have, like, Jess, you were mentioning the MailChimp one, you're doing the MailChimp outreach to a list. It's telling you who returned and how they interacted.
Yeah, and it'll do the same thing with Zoom, with the Zoom integration. If somebody joins one of our webinars, that will show up in their contact record as well. As far as finding companies, I don't know that it really does that for you. And I think we all know that purchase lists are not the way to go. But, if you think of a target company, you're like, I wonder if this would be a good company to work with. Like for, let's say, for the fitness side of things, you're like, what company could use this energy product? And you go and you just plug the company into your CRM and you let the AI do all the background so you can see their revenue, how many employees they have, where they operate. Like that at least gives you a head start on knowing who your targets are. But I don't know
Mhm.
of any like way to find those folks without, like buying a list or doing something yucky like that.
There is another technology out there that I think is worth pointing out called synthetic users. It is interesting to watch that evolve. It's a version of your target customer. So you're creating these different personas and you can actually test products on synthetic users, get their feedback, and you can do mass tests that way. If I'm looking further out, I'm thinking about HubSpot having a bunch of your CRM data or any of these CRMs having a bunch of your CRM data. If they made synthetic users based off of the interactions and points from your users, it would be interesting to see how it helps in that customer segmentation and some of the new product design, things like that that could be done. So if you made a say you make a new offering and then you say, "Test this with my synthetic user base and estimate how many people do you think would convert and buy this?" You could potentially do a new product offering and test it on synthetic users that are made from your customer base.
Is there like a software that does like that? Like, I don't think HubSpot does that, right?
Nothing does that yet, but if you look up synthetic users, I think they're just syntheticulsers.com or .io or something like that. You can see the technology that they're building for they're using it mainly for customer segmentation, product testing, and it's probably not something worth trying out worth spending a bunch of time on now, but it's a technology that's worth knowing about now and thinking where could that go in the future, and when might you wanna use something like that? Yeah, it's an interesting one. It's been floating around the innovation community because, the personas and product design there's a whole, category of AI-assisted product design that most people don't know anything about that is very fascinating to me. Alright. Well, I think we're pretty much at the end here. So, if you're thinking about CRMs, how do you keep track of stuff today? What type of system are you using? And just a reminder, HubSpot is free. Get started with something early because, you don't want to deal with trying to get all the data in the right spots later, especially if you can just get started with something for free. Probably easier that way. Or at least get it in a list so you can easily import it. That pretty much wraps up the second future of marketing. Thank you for coming and You can continue the conversation in the Annovation community. Send us your questions. We'd love to hear from you, and we'll see you next month. We do this every single month, and so just if you have topic suggestions, send us your suggestions, and we'll try to cover them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks. Bye.
Well, if you're hearing me now, you stuck around this long, and so thank you for sticking with me through the first episode. I know it's a rough one. I know I got things to improve. If you loved the whole thing, awesome. If you hated it, it's only getting better from here. So thanks for sticking around, and I'll see you in the next one.